like, you know what, we made up my mind. For my university, I'd rather study film. She was like, what is that? She thought I was going to start a cinema or something. So she was freaking out, like, what? You want to start a cinema or some local cinema? I was like, no.
Hi guys, yes, this is episode 10 of the Creator to Creator talk show, and today in the studios we are privileged to play host to Mr. Mugume Davidson, who is a professional film producer and a director. He has worked on so many world famous films like The Queen of Katwe, The Hostel, and The Black Hill, among so many others. So for those of you who are interested in the same field or in the same industry of film production and filmmaking, please sit tight and listen in keenly. He has a lot of information to share with you.
If there are boundaries, I will try to knock them down. Latching on, babe. Now I know.
Hi, Mr. Davidson. You're welcome on the show.
Thanks.
And we are very glad to have you today. Could you please tell us a little bit about yourself? Who is Mr. Davidson?
My friends call me Daudi, but I'm a Ugandan and I'm a filmmaker. I've grown up in Uganda and I've been doing film for now, it's coming to 12 years. 12, yeah, it's been still short, but yeah, it's been an amazing run. And so far it's become what defines me, so to speak. So who Davidson is, I'm a filmmaker, an artist, a Pan-Africanist. And a free thinker.
That's quite an interesting introduction or a brief about yourself, and it's very good. Thank you for sharing with us who you are. Next question is how did you join the film industry, and what really inspired your decision to become a professional filmmaker and a director?
Actually, what inspired me was there was a time I was with my brothers and we were watching a movie, and you know how at some point of watching a couple of films you begin to also predict what's going to happen. Oh, this is the part where the hero finally remembers and comes back. Or she's going to the airport and he's running to the airport and they meet before she boards her flight and they run out, which is not the case. When you go to the airport and the person is in the departure, you can't even get to them. But in Hollywood, that's what they told us, that's true. So with time, it begins to nag you like, that's not how reality works and stuff. And so one day when we were watching a movie and joking, that's when I was like, but I think I can actually become a filmmaker and impress you guys. They're like, you're lying. And that's how I went, told my mom, I was like, you know what, we made up my mind. For my university, I'd rather study film. She was like, what is that? She thought I was going to start a cinema hall or something. So she was freaking out, like, what? You want to start a cinema or some local cinema? I was like, no, I'm actually interested in the craft and how film is done. So we looked for a couple of schools back then. There were very little none that actually existed at the time, because that was in 2008. Yeah, it was 2008. So by that time, there were no schools. We had to look around, and it was fortunate that at that time, there was an organization called Maisha, which right now it's no longer as busy as it used to back then. But it was founded or created by Reminac, the director of Queen of Katwe, Mississippi Masala, Slabo Bay. So she had a project going on annually, and they used to have training. They used to train ambitious youths who want to do the craft, and you have a month of training whereby back then they used to bring a lot of Hollywood producers, writers, actors, editors, and we were put in this camp for a couple of days. That was a month and a half or so. And through that process, you enter with a small script and you get training from all those guys. And by the time you're done, they used to have like 12 people apply, go through the course, and then they select 4 short films. And those are the 4 short films that are later filmed and showcased and taken to festivals and blah, blah, blah. So for me, I joined, it took me a while to actually get that training, but I met them in 2008 and they had some labs already happening. So I joined as a runner. This is the person who you find on set who has no job. So when you're on a project, he has a job to be there, but he has no specific role. So they just send him to run. You run, get me ruler, run, get me that, run, get me that. That's how I started. And I was a runner on one of the projects, and it was really exciting. And the whole idea of the cinema, and you see the cameras for the first time and the lighting and everyone being so serious. So from the get-go, I was into this. Earlier on in my career, I noticed that for you to survive in this industry, you have to be able to solve a problem. So I noticed that most of the people who used to get funding from organizations back then, they needed a storyboard as part of the pieces to submit. They needed this and that. So I used to, while I was at the theater, I used to chill with some friends and they knew I could sketch. So that's how I started sketching to be on people's projects. So I sketched for a storyboard. I give the person a storyboard. I was like, guess what? I can also be on your set and do this and that. So I started doing art department. From there, then that was when I got in touch with Lady Bash. She's no longer filming in the country at the moment. She was called Carol Kamia. She had a company called IVAD. And she was doing some projects back then. So I joined her and started working in her company as a production assistant, and also used to do sets, costume, basically production management. That kind of put me into this mindset of this can actually be a career, because initially I was in school. Remember that time when I didn't go to university, because when my fellow students were going to university, I was looking for a film school. And I told my parents that I'm not going to waste their money. 3 or 4 years in university is a lot of money, and wasting it on a career that's not even going to bring me money is a tough one. And that's one of the things I think my mom did a really good thing. You know, it's very hard for your parent to see you become an adult, and you're at that point where you have to make the most important decision of your life on how you're going to earn your life, because you know the world teaches us this thing of in life you have to actually work hard to get a job and earn a living. So when your kids are lined up for those careers that are clear cut, the parent rests assured that at least my son will be fine. So she was really calm. She was confident in my decision, which was amazing, and she supported me 110% behind it. And that's why it made it so easy for me to enjoy I had support back home. So it made it easy for me to forget about that stress and focus on actually becoming an artist. And any support that there was a potential shoot somewhere or a potential project somewhere, you could see that my family was always confident in me, because sometimes you have to go and film and you spend months on end out of the country. And back then I was a bit young, so it was quite tricky, but she supported me and endorsed it. So in her support, I kept on getting those projects on. They were not paying projects, but of course at the beginning you work for exposure. Yes. So they were the exposure kind of projects. So we started with those. Then I had made a promise to myself that because my family had supported me in earlier on, I was like, I have to make sure that by the time my fellow students come out of school, I catch up. I have to have caught up with them, because these are graduates coming out. You know, it's a big deal. So for me, I was like, okay, how can I do this? But I don't think it was my doing whatsoever. I think this is where God comes into the picture, because it so happened that when it was coming to my third year in the industry, that's when I got a call from a company called Fast Track that used to produce the hostel, and they wanted me to join their team. So initially, that I'd done, by that time I'd finished a couple of I'd worked on several projects with Maisha and some filmmakers in the country, and I've worked on some commercials here and there. So people knew Davidson is in production. They knew I'm mainly into art and sometimes assistant directing and first and second assistant. Though I hadn't been given a big project before like that. So I go on this set and we start filming. And these guys were some of them were in their 50s, you know. Like these guys have grown up seeing on TV. Yeah. So now you're there on the project and the producer calls me in and says, you know what, we talked to you earlier, so this is what's going to happen. So there was another director they're letting go. And they said, so one day we are with the crew and they knew me as an assistant, helping them set up the location, making sure everything is done. Then the next day in the meeting, they say, now from today on, Davidson is going to be the director. But I was like, what? They freaked out because it was really, really early. And that was when my career like kicked off. Yeah, because from there, that's when I directed close to 172 episodes. And yeah, on that project, I left at the end of season 3. Yes, season 3. That's when I wrapped and then proceeded down.
Oh, Mr. Davidson, that's quite interesting, and it's a very interesting story. Okay, I can call it a story because of how you began. It's been 1, 2, 3, 4, and you eventually gotten there. And from what I hear, you're one of the absolute best. So keep going.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much for answering that. Our next question is for our young audience who might be watching us right now and might not know what film is. Could you really explain to us or tell them what is film? And if possible, could you give examples?
Okay. So film, there's what they call the music industry, engineering, health, everything. But in life, film happens to be in an art form that merges all the other art forms. But film mainly started when the technology of the camera improved, and people realized that I could take instant frames, multiple frames, and if I play them side by side, it will make a flowing image. And that classic flowing image of a horse running was actually a set of photos of the horse in still multiple frames. So when you play all of them consistently, you could see a horse actually running from right to left. But in a nutshell, film is a medium of art where you use a camera and lighting, special effects and all that to narrate a story. So when it comes to filming, there are things like you can have fiction, that is films that are basic. It's a fictitious narrative. It's not real. It's not based on fact. And there's also sci-fi genres. The genres in film vary: thriller, action movies, horrors, all that. And also the medium itself also changes. Sometimes you have documentary filmmaking, which is becoming quite big right now. Netflix has really made a lot of money by showing documentaries. There's infomercials. Those are the new of the commercials, infomercials. A commercial is a 1 minute to 15-minute clip of an idea or a product that you're selling. Well, an infomercial is when it's something small, as short as 5 to 4 minutes of a company talking about what they do. So it's like corporate, commercial, social responsibilities, and the way bureaucrats, that's the way they make it. But So we have all those different multiple genres of film. So when you watch a movie of Schwarzenegger jumping out of a plane, that's fiction. But there are sometimes when you have movies that are based on true events. People survived the Holocaust in Germany who have to tell their experience and they show this. That could be a documentary film. So the versions keep on varying. And of course, right now, with the fact that all of us have a small box, that Carrefour rectangular box that you can watch anything from. So even if you're in the village right now and you're watching YouTube, you're exposed to a different art form. It could be a music video or anything, but it's anything to do with film. Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Davidson, thank you very much for giving us the history of film. I hope our viewers will understand, and from the information that you have given, from the way you've explained it, how it started way back and where it is right now. So hopefully our viewers will really understand. So thank you very much for that.